Alright. He said, oh, we on the air? Alright. Here. Here, let me drag this over here to my second monitor. We're gonna go to YouTube and make a post before I start the commentary, even though nobody ain't gonna be in here because I don't really do live shows like that. But I'll make the announcement because there's like 2 or 3 subscribers that want it, so alright, let's see, create post. Boink. Alright, cool. Alright. What is going on, YouTube? It is your boy Jarice back at it with another episode of
Real Talk
Live at 5 or live at 9. So now that I got my shower and now I feel all fresh and so clean, yeah. Time for the major topic at hand. Mr. Vivek Ramaswamy and his appearance on the Breakfast Club, because I think this video is going to illustrate a wonderful point of why black people will forever be at the bottom of the totem pole, why their voting habits are the way they are, and the people who we shouldn't be following are somehow always at the front of the conversations and leading the charge. But, oh God. Oh, and this video is 42 minutes long, so obviously I'm not doing this all in one sitting. So I'll probably stop at the 20-minute mark, and there will definitely be a part 2. And I got another video with a homie later, and that one's not going to be an intellectual video. That one's going to be raw, raunchy, uncut. So yeah, if you don't like me for my nigga content, yeah, don't watch the next video. Yeah, I'll title it appropriately. But without further ado, let's get into this video.
Ass up in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody.
Fair use, by the way, fair use.
It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the
DJ NV Sympathy here.
Breakfast Club. Teslin Figueroa is with us this morning.
I can't wait to see you attempt this name.
And we got a special guest in the building, Vivek Ramaswamy. Did I say right?
That's actually pretty good. It's better than most
Pretty
hosts.
good.
Yeah, it's like Ramaswamy. Like CD-ROM, but yeah.
Well, I said Ramaswamy.
Yeah, you got it.
Ramaswamy. Well, good morning.
Good to see you guys.
How you feeling?
you.
And then let me just start out by saying I honestly don't know why he's here.
What do you mean by that?
Like, you're literally trying to talk to a group of people who will never vote for you based on the political party that you're affiliated with. The fact that you are, I don't know what his actual nationality is, but it's some form of Middle Eastern, I'm assuming. So that's already 2 strikes against you. Like, you're already at a loss as far as this black base / demographic is concerned. Like, you being on the Breakfast Club was literally a waste of 42 minutes of your life that you will never get back. Because I guarantee you, out of all their regular listeners, you will not be able to change any of their minds to be able to vote for you. I promise you that, because their audience, their base, highly unintelligent. But that's neither here nor there.
You too.
Feeling good, guys.
You're running for president.
I am.
Running for president. You're actually polling 3rd behind Trump and DeSantis right now. The latest Fox poll shows you
A distant third.
A distant third.
Distant third, yes.
I was about to say the 3rd from 2nd is huge, but what do you think you need to do to close that gap?
I mean, most people in this country do not know who I am. So against that backdrop, the fact that I'm ahead of a vice president and a bunch of U.S. senators and a former U.S. ambassador and governors is honestly ahead of where I expect it to be right now.
Yeah, shout out to him. At least he's doing better than Biden.
Our goal was to be in 3rd by the end of the year. And then you have the Iowa caucus, and then you have the New Hampshire primary. And the fact that you go those early states in order makes it possible for an outsider like me to actually do this, because we spend a lot of time getting to know people in those states. And so it's going to be a steady process. The debates, I think, are pretty key. They start in August. I'm qualified for the debate stage already. I tend to like settings where we're debating. So hopefully that goes well, and we'll see where this takes us.
Does anybody who's not a white male really stand a chance of being the Republican?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that there's
They
this.
don't seem like they're open to that kind of diversity.
I'll be honest.
Here we go. Oh my God, this is why I don't associate with a lot of black people. Everything comes back to race. Like, everything comes back to race with black people.
Stop it. Get some help.
Like, Like, bro, it's not all about race. How about it's whether these people like you or not? It's not all about race. And then they even throw in the diversity word because, you know, the Democrat Party, I'm sure, is so diverse, you know, just because they had the black president, right? The first black president, which means the Democratic Party is so diverse, even though he was a plant just to get LGBTQ agendas in office and a bunch of other crap that didn't really benefit black people. But you dumbass niggas voted for him twice. Damn! But that's neither here nor there.
Honest with you, I travel the country. I have not really experienced meaningful racism from grassroots conservative audiences for the last, several years that I've been, since I stepped down from my business career. That was a different world I was in. But from
me either, and I've lived in the South all my life, and I haven't seen this rampant racism that people on the left / black people / Democrats tell me that I'm going through every single day. Remember, I'm oppressed. I just got my first job in corporate America. My bank account is bouncing back to where it should be. But I'm oppressed, even though my boss, her son, both white people that ended up giving me a job because I have a clean-cut look. I speak proper English. My pants don't sag, and I'm not out here throwing up gang signs and all this other stupid shit. But, it is what it is.
My book tours and everything else, and then now for this campaign, traveling the country. It's funny. That's the impression that you get from the media. Meeting people from Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, New Hampshire. I don't see that at all. In fact, I just see a hunger for substance, ideas, what's actually going to make the country better. Let me the impression that you tours and everything else, and then now for this campaign, traveling the country. It's funny. That's the impression that you get from the media.
From the media, social media, mainstream media, just people that live in this victimhood mentality that you will encounter in your real everyday life. This is what they'll tell you. That white people are the worst people in the world. They're all racist, especially if they vote Republican for some strange reason, even though last time I checked, white conservatives have helped me more than any other black person has in my entire life.
Of course!
But we won't talk about that because that would destroy the narrative, right?
Meeting people from Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, New Hampshire. I don't see that at all. In fact, I just see a hunger for substance, ideas, what's actually going to make the country better. Actually, I'm very encouraged by that. And I think that more people should. I used to live here in New York as well. And I'm not saying this about you guys, but I remember for me, you get trapped in a bubble. When we get out of that bubble.
I'm going to South Carolina.
Well, perfect. Well,
Yeah,
South Carolina.
Shout out to South Carolina because that's where I'm from, too. That's my home state. So shout out to South Kakalaki.
When did you grow up there?
My whole life. I didn't move to New York until 2006. So I understand
2006, yeah. But I actually think a lot of what I'm saying is specific to.
And I like how he tried to say, I've been living in New York my whole life. I was in South Carolina. Okay, just because you're from South Carolina doesn't mean that you don't have the victimhood mentality. Prime example, my family, they're the vote blue no matter who people. Jesus Christ could be running under the GOP and they still would not vote for him because Republicans bad, but Democrats are good. So we're not even going to go down that rabbit hole.
I think the country is in a different place today even than it was in the 90s and 2000s. I grew up in Southwest Ohio in the 1990s. Very different environment than it is today. But anyway, I mean it as a good note. I don't think that there's some sort of racist obstacle in the mind of Republican primary voters. Actually, if you look at the Republican field, even some of those other people on that poll you were mentioning, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, go down the list. I mean, there's even others as well. Larry Elder, black man's running. I mean, I think we'll see who ends up succeeding. But whoever it is, I don't think it's going to be a racial bias that holds me back.
Why should people vote for you?
Yeah, so I'm somebody who is.
And then you can look at DJ Envy's face and tell, hold on, let me see if I can get it.
Racial bias that holds me back.
Why should people vote for you?
Yeah, he's really not trying to have this conversation. Let's be honest. Let's be completely honest. Maybe I can speed it up a little bit. Look at this face. You can tell DJ Envy is 100% not interested. This whole conversation is disingenuous.
I'm somebody who is coming in as an outsider to the system. And I think in the White House, when it comes to the White House, if we really want to reform a lot of the corruption in government, it is going to take an outsider to get that job done. I'm 37. I'm the first millennial ever to run for president as a Republican. And I think I have a view on our generation of what's going on in the country, where we are all so hungry for a cause, for purpose and meaning and identity. But the things that used to give us that sense of purpose, faith, patriotism, family, hard work, these things are out. And that's why we latch on to fill in the blank. I mean, in conservative circles, a lot of us will point to wokeism, gender ideology, the climate cult, COVIDism. But you could fill in the blank with depression, anxiety, drug use, suicide. I think these are symptoms of a deeper hunger for purpose and meaning in our country. And so in some ways, I'm running as a member of my generation to say that we can fill that void with the things that actually give us real purpose. Revive family in America. That's actually a big part of my platform. It's what allowed me to achieve success. My parents gave me a great family foundation. I didn't grow up in money. We're trying to give that to my 2 kids as well. I want that to be enjoyed by Americans across the country. Belief in the country, national pride. Less than 16% of Gen Z even says they're proud to be an American.
Which is kind of weird because they enjoy the benefits of living in America, but if you tell them to go somewhere else, they sure are reluctant to. Just like all these weirdo pro-blacks that say, "Oh yeah, I'm pro-black and we need to go back to the motherland." It's like, all right, take your ass back. Notice that none of these Negroes have left the United States yet.
Of course!
But that's neither here nor there.
I'm not making this one up. This is about a month ago. There was a good survey. 60% of young Americans said that they would sooner give up their right to vote.
And what's up to the people who are watching this right now? I see like 3 viewers in the chat. I know one of them is the bot, but it said 3, so that means 2 bodies are in here. So shout out to y'all.
Than to give up access to TikTok or other social media. That's a problem. So I think we have a crisis of national pride.
People that, though. That's America's fault. That's the system's fault for constantly failing the people.
Well, you know, I see it. I see it less about. We can allocate the blame. We can talk about allocating the blame. I think there's blame to go around. I think it's up to all of us to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask ourselves, what is that vacuum in our heart? It's an old saying that goes, if there's a hole the size of God in your heart and God does not fill it, something else will instead. I think the same applies for belief in a nation as well. So I think what's going on is...
And I just caught this. Notice the book right here. Woke Inc.
We're human beings. What makes us different from animals is that we can believe. We need to believe in something bigger than ourselves. And when we lose God and family and country, we start believing in new false gods instead. That's what's going on in the country. And so I don't know that it's so much a question of fault, but more a question of how do we actually revive our sense of self-confidence
it's
and pride.
definitely a question of fault. I can absolutely blame white supremacy.
Swear to God, I hate black people.
100%.
Really?
Yeah.
See,
And then he's laughing about this shit like, bro, these niggas are fucking weird. I can believe white supremacy. I'm pretty sure it's a white man that signs your paycheck, Charlemagne the God, but we won't talk about that. I mean, you got BET in the background. A white man owns BET the last time I checked, because the black man who owned it sold it to the white man. So, never mind.
say more, and then I'll respond to that.
I mean, just look at the history of the country. I guess it's really just that simple for me.
Yep. Cause slavery and my ancestors and the Jim Crow and all this other stuff that really doesn't play a factor into the average black American's life today. Literally. I have not seen any of the effects of Jim Crow or slavery in my personal life. And I stay in the South, like the South, like the South of the country. But let this man tell it. Yeah, racism, Jim Crow, even though he's staying up in liberal New York. So by your own logic, Charlemagne, you stay in a blue state, blue city, freaking with a Democratic mayor, Democratic governors, blue all the way around. So in theory, you should be thriving. But, you know, the victim Olympics, I guess, is so fucking strong that even if you stay in what would be the black liberal paradise, yeah, you still can't thrive because of white supremacy, even though you're successful, right? Like, all the black people in New York and Chicago and Detroit and all these other cities, they should be fucking thriving.
The country has never fulfilled its promises of freedom, liberty, and justice for all.
I don't know about you, Charlemagne, but I'm free. I'm free. I can walk outside right now and do literally whatever I want to do as long as I don't break the law. Like, I am free to go wherever I want to go, sit in whatever restaurant I want to sit in, eat whatever I want to eat, as long as I have the capital to pay for it. But I don't know. These Negroes are fucking weird.
It's always been freedom, liberty, and justice for some. Usually that some is white people.
So here's what I would say.
No, it's for everybody right now. If you got the money, you can literally do whatever you want. If you are successful, if you are a good person, generally speaking, you can have a pretty nice life here in America. It's kind of why all these illegal immigrants want to come here. It's kind of why you had all these illegal immigrants setting up shop in Florida that have been there for decades, don't know a lick of English, but, you know, like, We got so much freedom in the country that these people didn't even bother to try to learn English or become a citizen over the past decade because this country was so relaxed and free. But I don't want to hear it, Charlemagne.
Response to that.
Like, if you have been in this country for X amount of generations, like your family has been here since the slaves, and you speak English, you grew up in the white man school system, you got the white man's education, you enjoy the buildings and the electricity and all the stuff that the white man gives you, it ain't no reason why you can't successfully navigate society in the same way that most white people that you perceive to be more successful than you do. There's no reason. It makes no logical sense. We all go to the same school. Imagine like me and, I don't know, I'll just throw out a name of a kid I used to know IRL. Imagine me and my buddy Andrew, you know, he becomes a millionaire because he goes to college and studies engineering, starts an engineering firm, and becomes a millionaire. We both went to the same middle school, so what would be the difference? The difference is culture, Charlemagne, but we won't talk about that because, you know, we don't like to talk about black people's, what's the word, perspective on education and the culture around that, because, you know, if you do your homework and if you study and you speak proper English, that's being white. But, you know, if you go around with your pants sagging, throwing up gang signs, bang bang nigga gang gang, you know, that's being a real being a real black person, right? Yeah.
That is obviously true that the nation has fallen short of our promise since our founding. But walk through some obvious facts about America. We're not founded on an ethnicity or a monarch or a food or even a religion. We're founded on a set of ideals that brought a group of people together in 1776, and we live by those ideals. At least we aspire to those ideals today. A nation that aspires to ideals that's not made up of gods, but made up of human beings, will always fall short of those ideals. So I think our worst hypocrisies as a country, and we have many of them, our worst hypocrisies are our best evidence that we have ideals at all. You take a look at other countries. Nobody ever calls the Chinese Communist Party a hypocrite, or China a hypocrite, or Iran a hypocrite. Why is that? Because to be a hypocrite, you at least had to have ideals in the first place. And so we're imperfect, but we are about the pursuit of a more perfect union, the pursuit of happiness. So America's about the pursuit. And so I think that trashing ourselves, I think we are actually.
I say that because, you know, we never were included.
Here we go. You gonna try to, like, and again, I haven't seen this. I saw a snippet of it on the Millionaire Morning Show. Shout out to Anton Daniels. But he's about to try to bring up the 14th Amendment. I already know. Because black people weren't originally included in the Constitution. Nobody's denying that. Nobody's denying that. But in the year 2023, stop bringing it up, bro. You are literally perpetuating the shit that you quote unquote hate, or that you want to fight against or change. But, you know.
Included in those ideals originally.
Originally. Yeah. But never not originally are two different things. Originally, that's true. Over 250 years of progress, if you had somebody who was in 1870 looking at the world we live in today, if you had somebody in 1960 who was looking at the world we live in today as it relates to race in America, we would be darn close to what they would have thought of as the promised land. So I think we have to recognize that America is about that pursuit. We're a lot further along than we were 250 years ago. And here's the other thing, too. We got to set our expectations. We will always fall short of our ideals. By definition, if there are human beings and not gods living in a nation that aspires to ideals, we are fallen. Man is fallen. That's what makes us who we are. But what also makes us different from animals is that we have ideals. So America's founded on our humanity, that we can believe and aspire to something that we will still fall short of. That's what makes this country beautiful. And that's why I'm in this. You ask me, why am I in this? I care about reviving pride in that nation, because if we get in the habit of just bashing that country, what are we bashing? We're bashing the last best hope that man has for aspiring to those ideals. Tell me who else has done better. I'll wait.
I don't think I'm bashing the country. I think I'm bashing the system.
Okay.
I want to change. I want to change the system.
Well, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I'm with you on changing the system. That's what brings me into this.
And what's your thoughts on some of the people that you're running against, Donald Trump and DeSantis? What are your thoughts on them and their leadership and what they've done for the country so far?
You know, I think everybody's made their respective contributions. I respect some things about what each of them have done. I think the Republican Party, I tell this to conservative audiences all the time, obsesses over the question of the who. You know, Ronna McDaniel, who's the chair of the Republican Party, versus somebody else, or Kevin McCarthy or somebody else, or Donald Trump or somebody else. This is a superficial discussion versus actually just taking a step back. And the Republican Party does not do this enough. What do we stand for? And why do we stand for it? Actually, a lot of my criticisms are also directed at the fact that we define ourselves, when I say we, I'm running as a Republican, but as a party, in opposition to something. All right, that's what Joe Biden did. That's what the radical left does. And race, gender.
Oh, finally, a political candidate who actually acknowledges that the Republican Party isn't anything but a speed bump for Democrats. Yay! Cool. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, are y'all actually going to do something and make yourselves useful? Probably not, because it's a uniparty system at the end of the day, and it's all controlled by money. But I will say that people like Donald Trump and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are actually already self-made millionaires, do pose the best possibility for change in the government, considering they're not as likely to be controlled by lobbyists and all these other interests that, slide them a couple of dollars. I will say that.
Gender, sexuality, climate. I'm opposed to a lot of these ideologies of identity, but the right falls into the trap of just saying we're not those things, and then we'll fight about which biographies win. Oh, I'm actually a bigger and more accomplished person than you, and I'm going to sling mud at you, versus asking the question of, what do we actually stand for? And for me, it's about individual, family, nation, God. You can agree or disagree, but at least that's a vision that's different from a vision of identity grounded on race and gender and sexuality and climate. And so that's a long way of saying, I guess, what I see as deficient in the field, in, the entire Republican field, including candidates you mentioned, is they're all running from something. And I'm in this race because I want us to run to something.
What is that something?
A vision of what it means to be American. Okay? Revive the ideals of 1776. Revive the truth, meritocracy, excellence, freedom of speech, rule of law. A radical idea. This is not a Democrat or Republican idea, that the people we elect to run the government ought to at least be the ones who actually run the government. That's not the case today. I'm talking about fixing the system. I'm talking about one of the myths where we fall short of our ideals. We're taught in school that we have 3 branches of government. They're irrelevant compared to who actually runs the government. It's a 4th branch of government of 3-letter agencies in Washington, D.C. That is a formula for corruption.
Ooh, Vivek's getting spicy. Golly, you mentioning the CIA and the FBI? Oh no, you better stop. You're gonna get Epstein, bro.
Corruption we get. That's a system we need to break down.
Who's those 3?
I mean, you could go down the list. SEC, FDA, EPA, TSA. The tens of thousands of government bureaucrats working in Washington, D.C., they're the ones who actually make the laws.
Ooh, you better stop, Vivek. You better stop.
It's not Congress. And that's a formula. And those people aren't elected. Nobody elected them.
They're put into power. I like this guy. I think he's great.
Protected by these what are called civil service protections, which means even the president, technically, under many people's beliefs, can't fire them.
This dude is on fire. Let's fucking go. He has my vote, if I actually voted.
That's the permanent state, what many in the right will call the deep state. I think that's a problem. I think that falls short of our ideals. I think the same FBI that threatened Martin Luther King with suicide on the back of incorrectly collected tapes is now committing, I would say, hypocrisy and corrupt actions against people of a different political persuasion that the FBI doesn't like today. I just think it's a formula for corruption when you have unelected bureaucrats that are actually setting policy. But that's a detail compared to my point, which is we need to revive the ideals that the nation was actually founded on and do a better job of aspiring to them.
Now we have Teslin Figaro. I'm sure Teslin has some questions. Tez, you good?
Yes, I
Ooh. Oh my god. Oh my god. I low-key want to do this with my buddy Riv. I feel like 20 minutes is enough. Yeah, you know what? Because I'm not even like big on lives yet, because this is like the first live in like forever, and even like the 7-8 people that used to watch me live aren't even here right now. I'm gonna wait on that. Just think of this as the appetizer. This is the intro. I got more content coming because I'm uploading like every day now. But I'm gonna do the part with her. The best part. I'm gonna do that with my buddy River. So, like the video for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe, share it with somebody you know, because hey, I'm trying to get to 2K, baby. And yeah, it's been your boy Jarice back with another episode of
Real Talk
Live. And yeah, I got some more content coming for y'all later. But I'm gonna hit up my boy Riv, and I'm gonna see what time he's available to do the part 2. So y'all be easy, whoever watches this, and yeah, I'll see y'all in the next